Pretty cool. So you guys can see more power is being sent to that side. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we'll be reviewing the all-new 2022 Honda Passport TrailSport. Now this review is going to be a little bit different because we're actually going to review this out in the middle of the desert. Now the reason I'm doing this is to kind of shout out my off-road reviews. They're extremely underrated. I test these vehicles like pretty much to the limit, so this review is going to contain the normal walk around and driving, but then there's going to be some driving off-road. And so if you guys aren't subscribed already, I'd recommend subscribing because I'm also going to be filming an off-road, like a full-on off-road review with this vehicle, which is pretty crazy because, well, it's a Passport. So definitely watch that video as well once it posts. Let's get into it. So under the hood of the Passport, we have a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 19 around town and then 24 on the highway, with power outputs being 280 horsepower and then 262 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of the TrailSport. First off, we're gonna go over the lights because they're gonna pop off in just a couple of seconds. You guys can see the daytime running light there with the headlight. Definitely distinctive look for the Honda brand. And now those are off. Distinctive lines here on the hood. Even with the white paint, they pop out quite a bit. Notice how this portion of the grille is all blocked out. Honda logo front and center, and then we have the TrailSport badge, and then you guys can see down below with the turn signal indicator, and then notice how that is kind of like metallic gray. Now with the TrailSport package, it has the same amount of ground clearance as other Passports, which is just over 8 inches. It's like 8.1 inches of ground clearance, which, you know, in terms of off-roaders isn't amazing, but compared to like regular crossovers, it's actually really good. Now for the tire and wheel setup, it's 245, 60, 18 in the front and over in the rear as well. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the wheel design here. It's got that kind of like rugged off-roader type design because the spokes are just big and meaty. And guess what? We have like real all-terrain tires. They've got a decent amount of sidewall again for a crossover. And then we've got independent front and rear suspension. Notice here with the fender flare and how that continues all along the side. Mirror has been blacked out. And then if we take a few steps back, you guys can see the full side profile here. So it's a little bit stubbier, I suppose is the best way to put it, compared to the Pilot. I really like the proportions on the Passports. Kind of my favorite. It's like the sweet spot. So here is our key fob. You guys can see we've got the lock function, the unlock, remote start, and then the opening here for the hatch. If we hold that down, you guys will see that it'll pop right open, and popping inside here, you guys can see tons of storage space. That's one of the big benefits of the Passport is you have tons of storage space. Obviously no third row. If you want a third row, you get the Pilot. You got these buttons on either side to drop down the seats. We have a power outlet here in the back. And then if we lift this up, you guys can see more storage space underneath. You guys are probably wondering, spare tire situation. And well, I don't see anything underneath either. I was gonna say I thought it was underneath, but I guess that well, maybe this like pulls up a little bit more. Nope. I don't know. I guess that we're out of luck if that happens. Anyways, press that. And bada bing, bada boom, bada bam. It's closed. Now let's finish things up with the rest of the Passport. You guys can see here with the taillights on the Passport. And notice how this goes straight across to the Honda logo. Got a camera there in the center. Passport logo. TrailSport badge there on the other side. Parking sensors here on the rear. And then look at the exhaust tips. Pretty sporty looking, and overall I think that styling on this is pretty solid. Now here's the door panel in the rear. First off, you guys can see you've got the sunshade here in the back, and then notice with the padding on the armrest. I love the contrasted stitching with the TrailSport colors. And then here's the back seat. Notice same thing here with the stitching perforations all down the center. And then you guys can see this lever, for example, to like throw down the seat. Here's a quick look at that, and also cup holders. It's easy to get in, you just gotta step right across. Yeah, tons of storage space in here. And then notice here with the storage space there, got some vents, got all of our charging ports, and we have our cup holder armrest as well. We are all set. Let's head to the front. Now here is the front door panel. You guys can see again with the padding and the stitching that goes across. Front two windows are automatic. Just a quick look at them. They do have blind spot monitoring. The little thing pops up, I think, right here, if I remember right. Anyways, it pops up there on the side. Memory seats right here. You've got this to open up the hatch. That is for the gas cap release. And then you guys can see with the TrailSport logo. I think these front seats look pretty cool. Again, they have the same design as the rear. Of course, we got the Honda armrest right there because there's not a center console armrest. And then you guys can see there with the seat adjustments. And then notice here with the pedal layouts down below. And then we've got some controls here. Stability control. That's for your collision assistance, lane departure, parking sensors, the windshield wiper setup. And then you guys can see with the mirror adjustment and then the Econ mode. Let's pop in. Now here is the steering wheel for the Passport. You guys can see with the padding on the top, and then notice this perforated here on this side so you can get a slightly better grip. This does have adaptive cruise control as well as steering assistance. Paddle shifters here on the back for that 9-speed automatic. Controls for the center stack, and then you guys can see more stitching there at the bottom. Pretty normal steering wheel overall. Turn signal light stock, and then of course the windshield wiper stock. Can't forget about that. Now here is the center gauge cluster. You guys can see you've got analog gauges there on the other side for like the temperature and the fuel. And then we do have the center screen which you can scroll through different bits of information. Okay, I don't care. Anyways, so you guys can see it's showing like the all-wheel drive torque, and then we can go to like trip computer as well. You guys can see what I've been averaging with the fuel economy. And other than that, that's the center. Now here is the infotainment system. First off, we pop it in reverse. You guys can see you've got this whole backup camera set up here. The trajectory lines do turn with the steering wheel. Resolution's decent. No 360 camera or anything like that. As for the rest of the screen, response time with these little buttons here on the side is great. It's pretty easy to use. Overall, you can use the Bluetooth and all that kind of stuff if you want. And it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well. And, well, there you go. Analog controls for the climate system down below. Again, it's got a dual zone climate system. And notice we've got the controls there for the rear as well, because, again, built off the Pilot. Storage space right here. We've got heated seat controls here on the front. And then our charging area with a wireless phone charger. And then we've got the buttons for the gear selector. And then this is our drive mode select and then auto stop start. With the drive modes, they actually pop up right here. So you have normal, snow, mud, and sand that you can go between. And then pretty normal center console setup. It's big though. It's got some more charging ports there at the bottom. You can't really see them, but it's got 12 volts and then a USB down there. And glove box, also pretty normal. I like this trim piece here on the dash, and the dash is padded, which is nice. We do get a sunroof. Controls the sunroof just in the normal control area right there, and there you go. So here's a window sticker. It's on my phone screen, which kind of makes things a little bit complicated. So anyways, you guys can see almost everything is standard here with the TrailSport. And notice what the TrailSport adds. So you guys can see the gray wheels and everything like that. And then notice the skid garnish is what they call it. And then all-season floor mats, all that kind of stuff. And you guys can see the TrailSport badges and everything. Base MSRP $42,000. And then you guys can see after all options, $44,090 is the total MSRP. Well, let's drive it. Let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's the visibility of the hood, both of the mirrors, and then throughout the rest of the rear. And with that being said, let's set off. So we are starting off with our driving here in the Passport. And again, if you want to see some fun off-road driving, you know, point of view and some exterior shots as well, subscribe to the channel, and then as soon as I post that, you guys will be notified. But let's talk about how the Passport actually drives on road. And something to actually show what I feel is to show you guys the all-wheel drive torque computer. Okay, calm down, car. There we go. So you guys can see where the power is being sent here, mostly to the front wheels on road. And so that's what you feel. This is ultimately an all-wheel drive car, but it is an all-wheel drive car that drives more like a front-wheel drive car. And so you definitely can kind of feel that in the driving experience. We'll get into that a little bit more once we take this turn here. But other stuff, seat comfort is actually good. These like armrest things are kind of interesting. They, I don't know how to feel about them. Like it's nice that it has an armrest instead of not having an armrest thing. But sometimes like I don't know, the placement is kind of weird with the height, basically. You guys probably can't see because the steering wheel's turned. But what it'll do actually is pretty cool. So you guys can see more power is being sent to that side for a second there. So basically when you go around corners, right, it'll send power from one side to the other to basically make it so that you get a little bit more grip, right? It's pretty cool that it's actually sending power across. So that's part of the all-wheel drive system. And again, the best way to really test the system and show you guys is, well, with the off-road video that we are going to film. Now, other stuff, highway commuting is actually really good with the Passport. It's very smooth, very comfortable. The one thing that I will knock Honda for though on the Passport is the adaptive cruise control system. It is not great. It's very safe. I'll give Honda that. It's a very safe system. But other than it being a very safe system, it's not like comfortable, if that makes sense. So basically the following distance is really far, which is completely fine. Again, that's safe. The problem is the braking it feels like a teenage driver. It really does. Like, it's just not very, like I've reviewed other adaptive cruise control systems and they're a little bit smoother with the braking application. This is not like that. This is like, it's so annoying. And then it does have steering assist, and emphasis on the assist. There's a lot of other automakers where they have steering assist systems that basically drive the car for you, keeps it centered in the lane and all that. This keeps it relatively centered in the lane, but it's a very glitchy system. Basically, I've noticed that it constantly goes over the lane all the time, just can't seem to read the lines very well. And so again, it's truly an assist system. Like, you can't just, like with you know, the new Jeep Grand Cherokee, for example, you can just put your hand on the steering wheel and it'll do everything for you, and you have to intervene every so often, but it's very minimal. This, on the other hand, you have to have both hands on the steering wheel and you have to be driving the car. And so I find myself not using it because, yeah. So other than that though, it's comfortable, it gets great gas mileage. You guys probably saw on the trip computer, this is what I've been averaging, 25.2 miles per gallon on 280 miles of driving so far. So I mean, I think that's definitely pretty economical for this size of SUV. And again, ultimately this competes against like the Chevy Blazer, Jeep Grand Cherokee as well. And so here's what I have to say, like summing things up with the on-road driving here with the Passport is it's very comfortable, it's economical. The acceleration is, well, it's competitive within the segment. I know that was like the lamest acceleration ever. It's competitive within the segment, but it's not like quick or anything like that. But again, I don't think people buying this are really too worried about acceleration. Seat comfort's good, so I don't have any complaints on that. Dual zone climate, that's great. It's heated seats. It's got a lot of nice interior tech. So overall, it's a really solid car, and it's got a cool all-wheel drive system that I'm interested to test out with the off-road review. But overall, you know, $44,000 for this, I think it's a pretty good value. Obviously, like I said, there are some things that make this, you know, somewhat frustrating to drive in certain circumstances, but I think it's a great value overall in this segment, because most other vehicles in this segment are around $50,000, and so I can look past some of the little quirks with this because it's quite a bit more affordable than the competition. Let me know what you guys think. That's gonna sum things up for our video on the TrailSport. And like I said, if you're not subscribed already, I'd recommend subscribing so you guys can see the off-road review. And with that being said, I will see all of you in that next video.